Yo, what's good, you guys? It's Boomer and Jared watching Bali Star. Today, we're getting into Nickelodeon is done. Exposed, plus childhood's ruined. Plus, we're also going to get into Josh Peck speaking out about it because, I'm pretty sure, if you haven't by now, then you just haven't and you're just out of the loop, you're under a rock. I mean, you go check it out right now, or like right after or whatever. Other than that, you've checked it out. You've seen the show Quiet on Set. I just watched it, just like a couple days ago. I think it was just yesterday or 2 days ago. I think it was yesterday. And man, I watched all the episodes, man. Like, I swear I caught on to what's this? I just caught on to when they put on new episodes on there. So I caught the full thing. You feel me? I got lucky. But yeah, I caught all that, bro. It's crazy, man. When you see all these shows that you grow up, and they even showed some skits from like back then, and that like I still laugh at, but they will like now look at, and of course I'll look at it now and be like, oh snap, like damn, I did not think of that when I was younger. You feel me? Like the Amanda show on there, like the girl that Amanda portrayed, Penelope Taint. I didn't think Taint meant that. I thought it was just a name. It sounded like a regular name. You know what I'm saying? I could see Taint actually being a last name, but I was like, bro, I didn't even know it was called that. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they definitely threw in some innuendos that I never would have thought, that I just thought was just generically funny. Sometimes I look at them and I still think that they're generically funny. I think some of them that like, okay, I think you're stretching it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it was that serious, but it's like, putting it in the way that they put it, I was like, damn, bruh, that is crazy. So, yeah, let's get straight on into it, bro. Make sure to leave a like, support the video if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, so that we join up with the bomb squad. Yeah. Is that way. If you don't know, that was my original moniker for y'all that like support me and all that stuff, and that we a squad, we a family, we just cooling and all that, bro. You feel me? Or sis, whatever, and yeah. But that was the OG moniker. And I think it's time I bring that back because, like, we're just bringing back the originality. At least I'm gonna try to bring it back in that type of way. So, yeah. But without further ado, let's get straight on into it. Let's go.
Where you are?
Maryland.
Me and Logan are right. My name is Mavis. Take a picture with me.
Jamie Lee Curtis, man, I thought she was hella cute. Her, Ariana Grande. I'm gonna tell you. Listen, chicks I thought was cute back then when I was little, bro. I was like, yeah, I get with Jamie Lynn for sure. Ariana Grande for sure. Victoria Justice off of Victorious. Give or take. I smash. You know what I'm saying? Jade, she was off and on too. It's like at times I look at her like, nah, but other times I'll be like, yeah.
All that, the Amanda Show, and Drake and Josh, things might never be the same for you looking back after watching the new investigation discovery series on Max called Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, where former child stars and ex-Nick employees are sitting down to expose the network, detailing shocking and horrifying events that happened behind the scenes and even making you rethink some of the content that was put out there for children to view. I recently talked about how Dan Schneider has responded to the series, but we're going to be talking about some of the biggest revelations from the series, along with how the public has responded and some other former Nick stars, which has actually gotten them in some trouble. In the past, I've talked about what's been said about the famous Kids Network, as former child stars such as Jeanette McCurdy have come out to talk about their experience on set. When Jeanette released her memoir 2 years ago, in it she included several shocking revelations from her years working at Nickelodeon, things that happened on set and behind the scenes between her and her mom. In the book, Jeanette detailed the exploitation she faced at the hands of someone named The Creator. The creator was Dan Schneider, a former Nickelodeon executive, the one responsible for shows such as iCarly, Sam and Cat, Zoe 101, Victorious, The Amanda Show, Drake
That
and
dude
Josh,
was on
All
Sam and
That,
Cat?
Kenan and Kel, and
From
several
Zoe
others.
101?
He was the
That's
network's
crazy.
golden boy and responsible for so many careers. But he's also someone who has a ton of allegations against him, and over the years, people have grown disgusted by what they've heard about him. And rewatching a lot of these shows back, the things that are written into them have people completely sick by him and the network. Nickelodeon announced in 2018 that they would no longer be working with Dan, and there were several publications that had reported on complaints about Dan's alleged behavior, including his alleged well-documented temper issues. An internal investigation had been done with the company, and they claimed to have found that he was difficult to work with and prone to tantrums and angry emails, but says any other misconduct was not found during the investigation. Despite that being what the network claimed, for years now his name has been thrown around with accusations of being inappropriate. In Jeanette's book, she opened up about her negative experience on...
It's crazy. I'm just looking at old girl's face, and I could tell that was just like a forced smile. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Of being
it's almost like she could sense the aura.
In Jeanette's book, she
from
opened up
him.
about her negative experience on set of iCarly, with claims that she would be visibly uncomfortable on set, recalling a time during a kissing scene with her co-star Nathan Kress that she was being shouted at by the creator and had to reshoot the scene several times. Jeanette also wrote about being pictured in a bikini at a wardrobe fitting and having the creator encourage her to drink alcohol, despite not being of drinking age. She says her mom was present for some of the things that happened while working on set, but would brush anything negative off as just this being a part of Hollywood. Following her exit from Nickelodeon, she claims she was offered $300,000 from Nickelodeon to never speak publicly about her experience there, and she declined the offer. And since the release of the Investigation Discovery series, people have been speculating on who might have actually taken that hush money, believing that she couldn't have been the only one to have been given an offer like that. Now, in the series, they truly discussed so much. It was very disturbing, I must warn, with tons of triggering topics, and the fact that this will make you remember these childhood shows much differently afterwards. The 4-part docuseries focused heavily on Dan, his career, and what he was bringing to set. 2 female writers for The Amanda Show were featured in the documentary, having said that working with Dan was like being in an abusive relationship. They claimed he didn't think women were funny. They also said that he would play adult content on his computer and make people do uncomfortable things like give him massages. Which, since the release of the Quiet on Set docuseries, Dan had come forward.
I remember the one, like, the gray-haired lady on there, she said that, like, Dan made her do something, bro. It was something that was so unacceptable, bro. I forgot what it was, but it's like, oh my God, what was it? It was just like, what? No way, in front of... That is crazy.
Which, since the release of the Quiet on Set docuseries, Dan had come forward in a video he posted to his YouTube channel where he did admit to the massages. One writer, Jenny, and her lawyer filed complaints against the production company for gender discrimination, hostile work environment, and harassment. A settlement was reached, but she says her career suffered from this as a result. And speaking of The Amanda Show, several points were made about this show in the series. People found so many moments uncomfortable from these shows that Dan was behind, and this was one of them. There was a scene discussed where he is in a hot tub with a very young Amanda Bynes, which just feels so unnecessary. She was a child in a swimsuit, and he's a grown man. Like, why are they in a hot tub together for a scene? It was also made known that one of the characters that she played on a sketch in The Amanda Show was Penelope Taint, and writers in the docuseries
I felt like there were definitely lines that were being pushed. You know, like something that were pushing the line.
He's claimed Dan was inspired by the word taint, and he wanted to be like his little secret that's what the word was. And tons of people have just been shocked and disgusted to learn this because from their memory it was Penelope Tate, but this is just unbelievable. It just felt like in so many of these shows that though they were supposed to be for kids, they wanted to have kids do these very adult-like things almost to just try and see what they could get away with. I do remember that when I was a kid, my mom did not like me watching The Amanda Show or all that, finding things really inappropriate whenever she would sit down and see me watching it. And I always thought it was so ridiculous because I'm watching a freaking kids show, you know? But now as an adult watching this back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I see why she didn't want me to watch this. Like, she was very much seeing the things that everyone is seeing now, But I did see a ton of other people on TikTok talking about the fact that their parents also said the same thing about not wanting them to watch this show because they found something weird about it. Fans have heavily wondered what happened to Amanda Bynes over the years, as Dan Schneider was so heavily involved in her life and her career. It seems he saw her as his ticket out of children's television, but in the end it didn't work out for him following her, and he came back to prioritizing children's programming again. And there's just so many questionable scenes that he was responsible for, like we talked about the Amanda Show, but looking back, they also showed scenes of Ariana Grande from Victorious where she's pouring water on herself while she's laying in a bed, and it just isn't appropriate at all. There just seems to be so many adult innuendos happening in the scenes of these shows. There's also one where she's playing with this pickle-shaped toy, and then later on tries to gag herself while telling a joke. She's also seen squeezing a potato in one of the other scenes. And watching it back, the adults being interviewed for this series were shocked that this was even aired on Nickelodeon.
You see, seeing all this, I wonder why Ariana has not, but of course, because she's a big star now, you know what I'm saying? Oh, but for some reason, I feel like she gets more comfortability doing this than all the other cast. You know, because to become the big star she is today, how do you think how many hoops she had to jump? You think this is bad? Hollywood? Like, Nickelodeon Hollywood? Try being in the music industry to get as big as she is today. Now, she might not have done anything. Probably. Probably.
Adults being interviewed for this series were shocked that this was even aired on Nickelodeon. There was also discussions of how certain stars were treated over others, as the All That alums Brian and Giovanni discussed their experiences on set. Brian talked about how he felt racially stereotyped in the roles given to him as a rapper named Lil Fetus and a teen who sold cookies in a
watching that part was crazy. Again, this is for people who have seen Quiet on Set, you know what I'm saying? But nah, like, I remember that skit of like Lil Fetus and all that stuff, man. That shit was funny as fuck. It was kind of funny. But just the fact, like, in the making of it, like, he said, like, one of the costume designers or somebody told the costume designer to make it charcoal colored. Like, what?
Experiences on set. Brian talked about how he felt racially stereotyped in the roles given to him as a rapper named Lil Fetus and a teen who sold cookies in a Girl Scout sketch that was basically a reference to drug dealing. He also said his mom had called out odd behavior on set when they were talking about a lot of the things that have since come out about predators on set, so she was noticing some weird stuff. And to get into one of the very dark topics of this series, Drake Bell was a huge part in this. And at first, a lot of people weren't interested in what he had to say, given that in 2021, he had pleaded guilty to a felony charge of attempted child endangerment and misdemeanor charge of disseminating matter harmful to juveniles related to inappropriate text he sent to a teenage girl in 2017. He was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service. But in the series, it seemed to reveal that he had suffered horrible things as a child himself while acting on Nickelodeon by his dialogue coach, Brian Peck, whom he was introduced to on set of the second season of The Amanda Show. And let me make this clear because tons of people have been asking after hearing his name, but Brian Peck has no relationship to Josh Peck.
Thank you. That's what I've been wondering this whole time. I was like, why haven't I heard this yet? Is Josh Peck this nigga son? But after I seen the Quiet on Set series, I was like, well, obviously not, because there's information revealed about that dude. It's like, I don't think that's his son. But I was waiting to hear that before I saw the show. I was like, is this Josh Peck's dad?
It was the first time that Drake was speaking out about the abuse that he had endured during his time in Nickelodeon. He said Brian had befriended him and would invite him to his house for acting lessons, and horrific acts had occurred. And it wasn't until now that it's been revealed that Drake was the unnamed minor in the 2004 conviction of Brian Peck. It was extremely hard to listen to this part, mostly because Drake Bell's father had really noticed Brian's behavior and was very weary about Drake hanging out with him, did not want him to be left alone with him. He even at one point had expressed concerns that he felt about Brian's behavior towards Drake to people at the network, but he was dismissed. They were just like, oh, that's just how he is. He's really friendly. But Drake's dad did not trust him, and rightfully so. But Brian got very close with Drake, ended up convincing him that his dad was not being a good manager, and Drake went on to be cared for by his mom. Drake's dad tried to warn his mom not to let Drake be alone with Brian, but that ended up being what happened in the end, that he had been spending a lot of one-on-one time with Brian once Brian had convinced him to not really have his dad in his life anymore. In talking about what happened to him behind closed doors with Brian, he went on to say that one day he was on the phone with his mother and just exploded. He told her everything, and his mom called the police, and Brian was arrested. According to the Los Angeles Police Department release, officers arrested Brian on August 19, 2003. Court records show that he pleaded no contest to 2 charges, and the court found him guilty on both. He served more than a year in jail and was made to register as an S offender. And I know we're talking about Nickelodeon here, but there is something to be said about children's television as a whole in general, in the way that it did not seem like anyone was out to protect children back then, and hopefully things are better now, but I just don't know. But it was made known that after all of this, after everything, after he had to register as an offender, he still got a job at Disney working on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody doing voiceover work. And it's because he was a very connected man. He had a lot of people that he knew in the industry, and that is what is so scary.
I think, I don't know if she's about to tell this, but I remember Drake saying, like, when he went to court to, you know what I'm saying, testify against him, he saw on his side of the court was just his mom and his brother, and on that dude's side was a full row of people. A full row. There were even some actors and actresses that do that letter thing on, I guess, why he's innocent or whatever they're called, you know what I'm saying? And there was, some were saying that, like, the victim tempted him. Are you serious?
About the industry is that people are so connected and they're willing to look the other way and believe one person because of money and power.
Oh, she was cute too, by the way. She was cute too when I was younger.
Industry is that people are so connected and they're willing to look the other way and believe one person because of money and power and things like that, and it's just so disgusting, especially when you hear about the fact that Drake talked about when they went to court. He was on one side of the room with his mom and his brother, and Brian had all these people, big name people, show up for him in the courthouse supporting him. And Drake had to give a statement, and he made a statement to those people, calling them out for being there to support someone who hurt him. And I just can't believe that people sat there and knew what he had done.
See, when he said what he said, I was like, bro, I could have said that way better to make them really get goosebumps in their like around their ankles, bro. I would have said, you support this? Point blank, bro. That's it. 3 words. You or y'all support this? You support this?
To Drake Bell, and they were willing to just sit there. It was also revealed that people that knew Brian also wrote letters to defend his character, and a lot of these people weren't just family and friends, they were big name stars, you guys, were writing these letters to defend Brian. And it's not known if they knew, what exactly went on in this case.
Some, I was so surprised.
Them writing.
that wrote those letters. Some really had me surprised. I was like, him? No way. And to the ones that said like the victim tempted him, goosebumps, bro. When I saw one of the people that wrote those letters, goosebumps. No effing way, bruh. No effing way.
Reading the letters, and these might not be the same people that were in the courtroom that day, so they might have not even known that Drake was involved in this. But there were 41 people who wrote character letters for Brian, and some of these people, they were victim blaming, you guys. They were saying that, maybe he was tempted. Like, what are you talking about? A grown man was tempted by a child? Like, these things were just unbelievable
what are you
that were written in
talking
these letters.
about?
One of the bigger names that has been revealed to defend Brian at the time and write a letter was actor James Marsden, who wrote that he's known Brian since he was a teenager. Will Friedle and Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World also wrote letters, but have since come out to say that they regret supporting him. The doc also named Alan Thicke, Taryn Killam, Joanna Kearns, Kimmy Roberts supporting him. The doc also named Alan Thicke, Taryn Killam, Joanna Kearns.
Her. Where is she from again? She from one of them shows, man. I think it was Brady Bunch. She was one of the ones that wrote that the victim tempted him.
Kimmy Robertson and Tom DeSanto as some who also wrote letters back then. And something that is just so upsetting is that Taryn was also a leader in an episode of Drake and Josh, and Drake and Josh was shot after all of this happened, where they went to court and Brian was arrested. So to know that Taryn wrote that letter and then they worked together is just crazy. I mean, he might not have ever known that Drake was involved in that case, and Drake probably never knew that he had written that letter because those letters were sealed until now. But just crazy to look back on that and realize. In a statement to People, Nickelodeon said, "Now that Drake Bell has disclosed his identity as the plaintiff in the 2004 case, we are dismayed and saddened to learn of the trauma he has endured, and we commend and support the strength required to come forward." Other details about Brian were later revealed, as All That cast member Kyle Sullivan revealed that in his home, Brian had a signed self-portrait painting of infamous serial killer John Wayne Gacy, and that the two of them had developed a pen-pal relationship. He kept piles of letters and photos from John in his nightstand next to his bed. Truly so eerie that people like this were just walking around Nickelodeon, working with children. And he wasn't the only employee.
Oh, man, I'll give y'all a short story right now, bro. Like, I was with this chick, you know what I'm saying? She would go to these, like, parties, you know what I'm saying? Held by Hollywood folk, you know what I'm saying? Or the music industry. And she sometimes would go to these houses, bro. These houses were weird. Weird, bro. Capital letters, bruh. Like, these motherfuckers would have statues of, like, some other shit, bro. And just, yeah, you could tell these people were not right in the mind, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, they're not living like regular people. You feel me? And I think with such privilege, you know, or just, like, being amongst this circle, you know what I'm saying, they could, you know what I'm saying, do and have these type of things. You know what I'm saying? And let all moral compasses go. General thinking let go.
To be arrested at Nickelodeon for this.
They don't think about like regular people, bro. And I'm not just talking about the stars, man. I'm talking about like people that be like, you know, like him, that be just around these crowds, bro.
At the time had also been arrested for things involving children. And as a result of all of this, people have really just been rethinking the content that they were watching on Nickelodeon as a child and really reflecting on the things being said here. And at the end of the series, there is a black screen that says that Nickelodeon told producers that the network investigates all formal complaints as part of our commitment to fostering a safe and professional workplace. We have adopted numerous safeguards over the years to help ensure we are living up to our own high standards and the expectations of our audience. I think at this point, a lot of people are just side-eyeing the network as a whole, though. But as a result of the series coming out, discussions have been had all over online with people calling on former Nickelodeon stars to use their platforms to speak out, which I will say this seems wrong. I mean, we cannot ask people to speak out not knowing what their experiences might have been. They might not feel comfortable or want to talk about something like this. It might be triggering. You just don't know. So that seems really inappropriate for people to be asking people to speak out. We just don't know what's going on in other people's lives. But something else inappropriate that has been called out, though, I will say, is the cast of Ned's Declassified, who all have a podcast together, were live the other day seemingly joking about the series, and people...
I'm just looking at homegirl Mose. If you know, you know.
People found the whole thing to be in very poor taste.
Daniel, I told you. Daniel, we told you never to speak about that. Get back in your hole, Daniel, and give me your holes. Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. We really shouldn't.
This is awful.
Why are we doing this? Because this is about us. Listen, our set was not like that. And no, it's awful. The Drake Bell is that's crazy to hear. That is, and that never came out, which is really wild.
Drake Bell responded, quote tweeting this on Twitter, saying, "Ned's declassless. This is wild. Laugh it up, guys. Laugh it up. Give me your holes? Really?" And the cast has been receiving tons of backlash since this has gone around. I don't know why they thought to even say the things that they did in this, but they are definitely hearing it from the public, that's for sure. Everyone just seems to be super disgusted by what has come out from the series and wants to see the end of the network, or at least proof that they've made some sort of concrete change to the way that children's stars are treated. I think the Kids' Choice Awards this year are going to be heavily protested, in my opinion. But
they still have those? Really?
Right now, that is what has been said since the series has come out and what was revealed. Let me know if you guys watched it.
Now we're going to get into Josh Peck speaking out about all this.
This week, Nickelodeon child stars have been a huge conversation following the release of the Investigation Discovery docuseries called Quiet on Set. The series sat down with several child stars, parents of child stars, and former Nickelodeon employees as they recalled experiences they had and things they witnessed during their time at the network. As a result of the series coming out, people have looked towards child stars not in it, wondering if they had anything to say about some of the things brought to light, especially after former Nickelodeon producer Dan Schneider put out a video addressing the series, seemingly defending his name, but also admitting to some inappropriate behaviors and apologizing. Not many have had things to say, which I don't think should be seen as a negative, as we are talking about some extremely sensitive subjects here, and we never know what their experiences could have been on set or in life in general. That could make talking about things like this extremely difficult. So the fact that people have been urging former child stars to speak out on everything seems inappropriate. But one person who has been heavily harassed by the public this week has been Josh Peck. Josh was featured in Drake and Josh as well as The Amanda Show during his time at Nickelodeon, and since he worked alongside Drake Bell for so long, people had questions about what he thought of the Quiet on Set series, since Drake Bell revealed in it that he was the unnamed victim in the 2004 conviction of Brian Peck, who was his dialogue coach that he met during the second season of The Amanda Show.
I mean, I'm just now finding out that it has just been revealed that it was Drake, so ain't nobody knew like that, for real. So I'm pretty sure this was Josh's first time figuring it out as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Just to clarify, he has no association to Josh Peck. Drake had not publicly talked about this until...
But again, back then I was wondering, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that was his dad, so I was like, couldn't have Josh been there at the house? But this was before I watched the series, obviously, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I said what I said earlier.
out and has shocked a lot of people by revealing this information. People had later commented on Josh's social media accounts wondering if he knew about this. He had also posted a TikTok earlier this week that people interpreted as shady towards Drake and the series.
If I haven't talked to you since 2023, take that as a sign that you don't exist to me anymore. Damn, you fucked up. You got sprayed with the rain. Bye. See you never.
Although it wasn't confirmed that this was shading Drake in any way or the series, people accused him of being shady anyway, just because it's publicly known him and Drake aren't friends. In 2022, Josh confirmed this on the BFFs podcast.
Yeah.
Are you guys, like, not friends?
Not really. No.
What
There was
happened?
like
Drake
there was
went
like
down a bad path.
there was a long story with Drake. I feel like you didn't invite him to your wedding, right? That's what
I
happened.
didn't invite him to my wedding, and the internet went crazy.
And there's been a lot of drama between these two in the past, with Drake publicly stating that he was hurt to not have been invited to Josh's wedding, and the two later did reconnect, but drama started up once again as Josh told the story of how they reconnected, and Drake's wife came out to say that things played out much differently than he had described. So things just always haven't been the best with these two, hence why people assumed even more that he was shading Drake. People also wanted to know Josh's stance on Dan Schneider following the series, because prior to its release, it seemed he was on good terms with him. It was said that he invited Dan to his wedding, and it sounded like he might have defended Dan against Jeanette McCurdy in an unreleased episode of his podcast, where he had her on. He admitted at one point that she did not let him release the episode that they shot together.
I thought it was an amazing book.
So did we, despite what Jeanette says.
What did? Oh, did she think?
She was our first ever guest.
Really?
Like the day that she released her book, like she was becoming it. She came on. It was an amazing get for us. We were truly good guys. Unbelievable interview. Spoke about everything that she wanted to, nothing that she didn't want to. It ended, and she told us not to run it.
Read Jeanette's book.
Yeah, I read Jeanette's book. I don't know where. Oh, and obviously the Dan Schneider or alleged Dan Schneider
Who's that? Tana? I'd
chapters
smash.
were so crazy, and it just put me in all the Jamie Lynn
Tana, I'd
Spears
smash.
conspiracies and stuff like that. I don't want to grill you on this. I don't want to ask you
We'll
anything
do it
that
on your
makes
pod.
you.
No, you can.
What were your interactions with him like, if I can ask?
I being 100% honest, he just was a tough boss.
Yeah.
And I was a kid.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
With it, obviously, I'm sure you've unpacked that in therapy. You know, the feelings of
That's right.
having a fucking boss when you're a kid.
But see, I like what you just said, because we actually spoke about it a little during the Jeanette podcast that never aired and will never see the light of day. But at least from my understanding, like, Josh's experience as a child actor was far different from what is portrayed by others. Josh, I don't think that you would agree that you hated it. Like, I think you loved it, right? Like, I know that there were tough things, of course, but
Yeah, I think both things can be true, right? There was a duality to
Oh,
it.
Drake did not seem to have a problem with Dan in the series. He didn't say anything negative about him, and even admitted that Dan called him after Brian's arrest, and he confided in Dan that it was him that was the unnamed victim in the case. So it honestly wouldn't surprise me if Josh would still also say somewhat positive things about Dan, even though there's been so many things said about him and the things that he's done, the way that he's made people feel. And I mean, he was let go from Nickelodeon for a reason. But since Drake doesn't seem to have bad things to say about him, I don't think that Josh will suddenly switch up his stance. Drake ended up coming out and posting on TikTok defending Josh's name, saying that Josh did reach out to him privately and he does not want Josh to be getting any hate right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to clear something up. I've noticed a lot of comments on some of Josh's TikToks and some of his posts, and I just want to let you guys know that this is really, processing this and going through this is a really emotional time, and a lot of it's very, very difficult. So not everything is put out to the public, but I just want you guys to know that he has reached out to me, and it's been very sensitive, but he has reached out to talk with me and help me work through this, has been really, really great. So just wanted to let you guys know that and to take it a little easy on him.
The following day, Josh ended up releasing a statement of his own in regards to the series. He turned comments off on his post, which wasn't surprising, as it's been said that he was deleting comments on his previous posts all week and blocking people who were asking him to address everything, which didn't help the situation. But in his statement, he said, "I finished the Quiet on Set documentary and took a few days to process it. I reached out to Drake privately, but want to give my support for the survivors who were brave enough to share their stories of emotional and physical abuse on Nickelodeon sets with the world. Children should be protected. Reliving this publicly is incredibly difficult, but I hope it can bring healing for the victims and their families, as well as necessary change to our industry." Following this statement, people have still commented questions they have for Josh, but I don't think that he will be speaking out much further than this unless he decides to talk about this
No
on
further
his podcast,
questions.
but I would be surprised if he did. Josh hasn't been the only one to speak out about things, though. Drake and Josh's TV mom has come out with a statement about the series as well, writing, "They weren't my real kids, but I'll always love them. It broke my heart into a million pieces to hear just how much Drake was holding inside while we were working together. I was both devastated and proud seeing the man he's grown into sitting down on camera bravely telling his story. Past abuse doesn't define us, and it has no right to rule our lives. I know that putting this burden down will free him in so many ways. I hope memories of the joy he had on our shows will someday greatly overshadow the pain. Sending love to Drake for a deep healing and for a rich and beautiful life ahead." Devin Werkheiser from Ned's Declassified also came out with a statement after he got a lot of backlash, along with his two other former Ned's Declassified co-stars that he currently does a podcast with, Lindsay Shaw and Daniel Curtis Lee, as they were seemingly joking about the Quiet on Set series on Live the other day.
Dummy.
Yeah, we saw that.
Joke about the Drake never came out, which is
I was being an idiot today, no way around it. I feel horrible that my dumb was even speaking about this without seeing it. I watched Quiet on Set tonight and am horrified by the gravity of what Drake and others shared. Truly heartbroken about what my fellow actors went through. I can't believe they weren't protected. I'm sorry for compounding any hurt. This whole series has just started up.
Wait, also
if
what
they
he said
weren't
at the top. "So sorry to Drake. Gutted, I hurt you."
protected. I'm sorry for compounding any hurt. This whole series has just started up so many conversations online with those urging the network and other children's programming to ensure children's safety on set. And people have also just been left in horror at the fact that a lot of people are just walking around free right now despite crimes committed. Some have served time, but not nearly as much time as people believe should have been, and the fact that some of them were even able to get work afterwards, especially on other kids' shows. It's just disgusting. But that is what has been said this week since the docuseries has been released. If any further statements are made or any other updates come out, I will let you guys know.
Alright, you guys, so that was Nickelodeon is done. Yeah, all this was crazy, bro. All this was crazy. You know? Nothing left to say that I haven't said throughout the whole video already. You feel me? Y'all let me know your thoughts about down in the comment section down below. Y'all know it's Boomer and Jared watching Bali Star. Make sure to leave a like, support the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new so that we join up with the bomb squad. You feel me? I'm still trying to work it in there some way. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to say it a different way back when. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, give me time, man. But, yeah. Catch y'all next one. 100. Ooh! Yeah.